This May meeting of the Sabine Independent School District Board is being called to order at 6:33. We have a quorum present with one board member, Mr. Paul Franklin, absent. If you'll please stand for the invocation and the pledge. Our dear Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight, thanking you for the many gifts and blessings that are ours and from you. And Father, I pray that you bless each person that is in attendance here tonight. I pray special blessings on our graduating seniors as they embark on this next journey in their life. And tonight, during the meeting, please grant us the patience and wisdom that we can make the decisions that will be pleasing to you and to honor the school system. These things I ask in your holy blessed name. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you for coming to our meeting tonight. This is the portion of our meeting where citizens can address the board. Remember that only people who have signed up to speak are allowed to speak, and the audience is here to observe and listen. No disruption of this public meeting will be tolerated. Each speaker tonight, and we have only one, is limited to 5 minutes and must speak on a topic that relates to public education issues. Our speaker tonight is Deanne Gerving from the elementary school, and her topic is testing.
Hello. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I'm standing up here tonight on behalf of our teachers and support staff, our administrators, our superintendent, and our students and their parents. I feel like it's time to take a stand against something that's bigger than our district. This involves our district and every other district in Texas that require our students to endure the STAR tests every year. In a recent meeting, it was mentioned by Mr. Taylor that as a board member, you're not required, nor do you need to know the ins and outs of the educational process or of school administration, nor are you expected to do this work. And you went on to say that you are responsible, however, to see that this work gets done. And please know that I'm not meaning any disrespect at all by bringing that up. I know that being a board member is not an easy task because many of you work full-time as well as serving on the board. But the statement caused me to wonder just how prepared my first graders would be if I only knew what was expected or what was required of first grade. If I didn't have any idea how they would be evaluated in future grades, then how could I do my best to prepare them and to make sure that they would be ready to be evaluated in later years? So I've made it a point to research what's expected of them in second, third, fourth, and fifth grade, so I can try to set them up for success by using vocabulary that they won't know or use until those grades, but just to try to set some groundwork for them to be successful later on. So I'm standing up here asking all of you to research our state standards so that you'll have a glimpse of how developmentally inappropriate they are. And after that, take a look at some of the release tests, the third, fourth, and fifth grade. I'm speaking only for elementary, but I know the same goes for middle school and high school as well. These standards aren't the same as they were when we were kids. When we were kids, math standards were computation. The released math tests are all story problems. There are no problems that are just like 340 times 72. It's all set up with reading involved. So they're not developmentally appropriate. And I assure you that some of the material you will see would cause your jaw to drop to the floor. And I'm just begging you to take the time to educate yourselves on these skills and assessments before you choose to determine someone's success or worth based on their scores. This is hurting our kids. We're damaging their self-worth by putting so much emphasis on one day in their school year. Did you know that if a student throws up during a test, we have to put their test in a plastic bag and send it to Austin to be scored? Don't think that they would do very well if they were feeling that bad. Did you know that a 4th grade special education student that receives instruction on a 2nd grade level, because that's what we're required to do, has to take the general ed 4th grade STAR test, even though we're required to teach them on a level that they can do? They still have to test on the level of the grade that they're in. You also may not know that several years ago, I had 7 students in my own class who lived with a grandparent or a great-grandparent because one or both of their parents were in jail or in rehab or had some type of reason why they were not fit to raise a child. Those students are in testing grades now, and I feel pretty confident that they've spent the majority of their little lives just trying to survive or feel loved. And now so many of our students, whether they struggle or not, are filled with anxiety and brought to tears at the thought of this test determining their worth. It's truly heartbreaking. I know there are many things you may not know, and I understand that you are not required to, but I'm pleading with you to please make the effort to learn, especially if you plan on using them to evaluate someone's work. Our staff, and especially our students, deserve better. Thank you.
We will now look at the information items, and there's a long list. Mr. Bryce will take us through that list.
Okay, first of all, this is Board Appreciation Month at Sabine, and our campuses have, I think, put together some things to give to our board or show our board their appreciation. And let's start at the elementary level and hear from Ms. Bass. I know you have things in front of you. You have some goodies in front of you that are given to you by the elementary campus. So, Ms. Bass?
I just greatly appreciate what y'all do. We gave you a little baggie of peanut brittle. It's like a potato chips. That's all. Once again, we appreciate the decisions that you make that benefit our kids and our faculty. Again, we just have a great place here at Sabine and Sabine Elementary, and we just appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bass. Okay, middle school. Mr. Menendorf. There you go. Oh, that's right. Kyle is going to do it.
Do it, council.
The Sabine Middle School Student Council would like to personally thank you for everything that you guys do, for your leadership, hard work, devotion, effort, and sacrifice each and every one of you put into making our school a great place. And thank you for helping us on our road to success and helping us feel confident in that. And please accept this gift as a token of our appreciation.
Okay, thank you, kids. We appreciate that. And last but not least, high school campus.
faculty, your students, administration. Thank you.
Okay, next thing on the agenda, we want to recognize our Globe Teachers of the Year. And what we do each year, campuses choose a Globe Teacher of the Year for their work throughout the year that they've done. And we choose one secondary and one elementary teacher. And this is sponsored by Brookshire's as far as there is a reception in honor of these teachers. And it covers the region. We have a reception at LeTourneau University where they're honored, and also the teachers are presented a check from Brookshire. So it's a small way to recognize what they've done, but we certainly appreciate everything that they do. The two teachers that we have this year, I would like to call them out, and when I do call your name, please come up and accept your gift from us. You can show everyone what it is, just don't let it fall out of the box because it's breakable. That wouldn't be good. First of all is Jay Burns from our elementary campus. Okay, Jay, you have to stand up here for a little while. Jay Burns was voted as our Elementary Teacher of the Year. Some reasons that Jay was selected are: she is a leader among her peers and campus coordinator of UIL. She's a lifelong learner. Her high expectations for students brings out the best in all of them. She uses humor to connect with her students. She has a deep knowledge of her subject matter. Overall, Jay develops in her students a love for reading and learning. We are honored to have her as our Elementary Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. You can go back. Okay, our Secondary Teacher of the Year is Jennifer Davis. Jennifer, would you come out? Jennifer has been named the Globe Teacher of the Year for the high school. Ms. Davis is finishing her second year with our district. Pressed with implementing new TEKS last year, Jennifer presided over an overhaul of the curriculum and instructional practices for art. Strictly following the new TEKS, Ms. Davis has cultivated an academic environment in her art classes without stifling the creativity of her students. Our art students have enjoyed tremendous success. Students have won numerous awards and scholarship money at local, regional, and state level performances. Ms. Davis is also a valued member of Sabine High School team. She is JV cheerleader sponsor. Wow. That's a lot right there, I'm telling you. Director of the art club and works with the prom committee and a host of other student organizations. Congratulations, Ms. Davis. We are extremely proud of the two teachers that were selected this year, and mostly proud of the job that they do and the impact they have on kids. Okay, looking at student successes, there's too long of a list to cover everything, but I would ask Mr. Sean if he would kind of go over a few things, or Mr. Grodemat, or whoever has that responsibility tonight. To go over a few things at the high school regarding our student successes.
It's been another great month at Sabine High School. apologize for not knowing the microphone, hopefully I'll project. UIL math team, calculator team, and number sense all qualified for the UIL state academic meet to be held later this month. So again, we're tremendously proud of those students. Our band had 38 students qualified for state solo and ensemble. We had 19 choir students also qualified for state solo and ensemble. Our boys track team recently captured its first district championship in many years. We had multiple athletes advance to regional competition, and junior Adam Cottle advanced to the state track meet in the hurdles. So we're very proud of Adam and all of his track and field teammates. The girls track team also had another successful season, finishing second in district, and sent out hosted competitors to the recent regional meet down at Baylor University in Waco. Our girls golf team also qualified for the state meet, finished in 8th place, and most impressively improved 16 strokes from last year's finish at the state meet. So again, they are back-to-back state qualifiers in golf. Both our baseball and softball teams also made the playoffs, with the softball team running a bi-district championship. So we're very proud of those young men and those young ladies. So again, very successful month. This month is being nice. Thank you.
And the next thing on the information items as far as agenda is the accounts payable, and that you normally see that, board, you normally see that in the consent items. It's the exact same information. It was just recommended by TASBO and TASB and the attorneys to move that up to information items. But still, there's discussion time or any, if there are any questions or anything along those lines.
Mr. Bryce, I had sent Mr. Yandel an email earlier in the day, and basically it said I would like him to bring how many persons or entities that we have in the recent past 12 months or so done business with that stand to be affected by not making this change. And I asked him to list it, and basically, Kevin, can you explain what you replied?
It's been the practice of the district for a number of years, even before I came on board, for all the checks that we pay out that are not payroll-related checks, to pay them based on a requisition and a purchase order being issued before payment is made. As a result, everybody that we write a check to could potentially be impacted by House Bill 1295 if somebody decided they wanted to make an issue with it. Not just some of them, but everybody that we pay.
The concern, I think, after House Bill 1295 came out by the attorneys was any of the vendors could construe that as a contract, and that's what House Bill 1295 is dealing with. So that's why that recommendation was made by them.
But we're dealing with the Texas Ethics Commission, correct? Is that what that is? So, what would these sanctions potentially expose then? You mentioned basically that every one of our payees would have to register with TEC in order to avoid any potential sanctions.
They're listed on the TEC website, and it's been at least 2 months since I looked at what they were on the TEC website, so I couldn't tell you that this morning.
On what the sanctions are? Yeah, basically, all they're wanting school districts to do is move this up from the either action item or consent item to take action on, so that these vendors will not have to go through all of the new paperwork caused by House Bill 1295. If it's something that this board wants to do and leave it on consent items, that's totally your option. It's just not recommended by legal counsel.
No, I understand. We're just dealing with the Ethics Commission, and My concern is that we're not being completely transparent with what we're supposed to be being transparent with.
Oh, no.
I mean, because if we're avoiding sanctions, then what type of sanctions are we avoiding?
No, it's not so much us, it's gonna be the vendors, you know.
I'm just telling you what Kevin replied to
Yeah.
me.
And no, as far as transparency, everything's exactly the same as far as what we've always done. You guys just don't have to take action on it, which would in turn could be construed by vendors as under House Bill 1295, where there's a lot of extra paperwork now that has to be done as far as vendors are concerned. But as far as what we're doing here, it's exactly, you know, the same thing.
What is the paperwork that you're referring to? Is,
I don't know, Kevin can give you a few items on that.
Each vendor that wants to do business with us and would do so through, each vendor that would want to do business with the district and do so in the form of a contract would have to go on to the Texas Ethics Commission website and input information, fill out a conflict of interest statement, print that out, get it notarized, put it back on the Texas Ethics website, and notify each one of the district or districts they're doing business with that they have done so, and provide us with a copy of that notarized conflict of interest statement. We're then required to just keep those on hand if anybody asks about it. We've had, I believe, 2 contracts so far since the beginning of January that are impacted by this.
And that's what we do on all the contracted work that's done. That's the process.
Right. But we're still writing checks to people that we don't have those forms on.
Well, it wasn't brought to our attention until just recently that there was even a potential problem of somebody misconstruing, in our opinion, the impact or the intention of House Bill 1295. So we're trying to just put it up there in the information items, provide you with the list of checks as we always have, and keep it out from being any way construed as any of the purchase orders being an actual contract that we've entered into. Otherwise, what we'd have to do before we paid anybody, whether it's a softball referee, whether it's SWEPCO, whether it's any of our special ed consultants, whoever it might be, we'd have to contact them, get them to go onto the TEC website, fill out all the paperwork, and get that certified and sent to us before we could then pay them. And there are a lot of the people that we make small payments to, that other districts make small payments to, that probably wouldn't want to go through the hassle of doing that. Probably would irritate several of them quite a bit just to do that, if there's not really any need to do it, if we can eliminate that possibility by just simply moving the check register up into the information items.
And that's something you'll see with a lot of other districts too, that will start doing that for that reason.
In the
It's not
meetings
just
that I
us.
go to with other business managers, there's quite a few of them that have told me the last couple of times we've met that they haven't even had their check registers in the consent agenda items for several years. They've all been up in the information items. There's several others, including Rains ISD, with whom I corresponded, that are now moving theirs from the consent agenda items up into the information items based on what their attorney has told them, which happens to be the same attorney that we use, Mr. Harden.
Thank you.
okay, but this doesn't in any way prevent a company that is supposed to have a contract from still having to fill it out.
No, this just keeps us from being required to do it on everybody, whether they had to or not.
And it also keeps us from voting on those minutes, or on those items. Correct?
Yeah, and there's a lot of, again, if you guys want to vote on them, you can. There's many districts that those are not even, that's always been the information on. That once we see this, once this is already here, this has already happened anyway. Y'all voted on the budget and all that kind of stuff, so, okay.
You're saying it does affect something really more. That's fine.
Okay, the upcoming events, I'll put those there for the board members to see, because there's quite a list, and there are more than that, of course, but those are some that you certainly want to take a look at, and would be nice to be at most of these events. I just listed those, what the events are, the choir concert, band concert, the FFA auction coming up, those type of things. Athletic banquet, and the dates and the times, just so you would have those. In the spring it gets completely crazy schedule-wise, so hopefully that will help a little bit. The big one is, of course, June the 4th, graduation, 2 o'clock at LeTourneau University at Belcher Center, and that will be the last event, spring event going on anyway. So if you have any questions over that, and like I say, there are more, and I'll keep you updated by email also.
We'll now consider the consent items, and these will be voted on at one time unless some board member wants to pull part of it aside. Do we have any questions?
Hey Stacy, where we put all that grass at we bought?
All the grass, the seed you're talking about? That's going on the football field, the baseball field, and the practice football field. There's a lot of work being done as far as maintenance on those fields, so that's where that's going. Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the consent items? Mr. Taylor, and a second? Ms. Bidwell. And all in favor by a show of hands? The vote is unanimous. Moving on to the discussion items, the first one is a response to the April 11th, 2016 open forum accusations.
Okay, as you recall, at our last board meeting, there was a discussion, or we had someone speak regarding the sale of the building, and we just wanted to clear up some of the items that were discussed in that open forum speech. So you have it in your packet. It was sent to you earlier. And Kevin, if you want to cover a few of those things, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bryce. I would like to clarify some of the items that were mentioned in the speech given by Mr. Cosa. In selling a building or asset that was purchased with federal funds, such as that portable building was back in 2009, there are federal guidelines, potentially some state guidelines, and local guidelines that you have to abide by. In the board's packet was a letter that I received from Mr. Corey Green, who is the Chief Grants Administrator for the Division of Grants Administration for the state of Texas. In that document, he outlined the federal guidelines that you have to abide by to sell an asset that's bought with federal money that costs over $5,000, or has a fair market value of over $5,000 when you sell it. We met all of those guidelines. The state approved the sale of the building. We sold the building, and within a week gave every penny that we got out of it to the state of Texas. And it was, you can go in, and the state of Texas has already recognized that they received that money. In Mr. Green's letter that's in the packet, he indicates that there are no other state guidelines at all or other federal guidelines other than what he mentioned above related as to how we are to sell the building. It refers in his letter, it says that we are then to go by whatever our local policies are. Our local policies related to this are CI legal and CI local. The CI legal policy has all of one sentence in it, and I'll read it to you. It says a board may dispose of property that is no longer necessary for the district operations in an appropriate manner. Very broad guidelines, does not specify what we're supposed to do, just other than in an appropriate manner. Does not specify that we have to advertise, does not specify that we have to put it out on the website, just says that we're supposed to dispose of it in an appropriate manner. The local guidelines basically say the same thing, except that it gives the responsibility to the superintendent or the designee as far as disposing of the property. In the board's packet, I included a memo related to the process that Mr. Bryce and I went through, starting back in last May, all the way up to the sale of the building and turning the building over to the buyer in January. I did not believe at that time, do not believe now, that any of what we did and any of the manner of what we did was secretive, trying to hide anything, trying to eliminate anybody from the process, or keep anybody from knowing about the sale. You can see in the memo that I provided to the board exactly the steps that we went through during the whole process. The only individuals that we had that showed any interest in the building were two people that I had to personally contact and the eventual buyer of the building. Also, during Mr. Kosa's presentation, he indicated that there's a gentleman with a company called Building Traders out of Oklahoma that in Mr. Kosa's presentation indicated that he would pay the district $14,000 for the building. I have in my hands and in the packet given to the board an email that says from Mr. Creer, the gentleman in Oklahoma, that the fair market value of the building is estimated to be between $4,500 and $9,000, not $14,000. I also provided the board examples from both an auctioneer that we used to sell the elementary school extra stuff, that they had 10 portable buildings that they sold over the last year, and 8 out of the 10 portable buildings of the same size as ours sold for under $8,000. Also received some information from Martha Lakey with the Region 7 Purchasing Co-op related to portable building sales that they had over that same time frame. And you can see in the literature that I provided to the board that the company that Mr. Creer represents, which is called Mountain Home or Building Traders, only bid on several of the portable buildings, and on none of them did they bid more than $4,000. And there were and one of those buildings that bid $3,000 was a building that had 2,920 square feet, whereas the one that we sold only had 1,536 square feet. So I've not had any evidence provided to me, or was I provided none during this time frame, that Mr. Creer would have offered us anywhere near $14,000 for that portable building. The last thing that I wanted to mention was in Mr. Creer's speech, he mentioned the appraisal of the portable building by our insurance people, which was actually done back in September of 2014. Mr. Creer indicated, or Mr. Kosa indicated, that the value of the building was listed as $150,000. In actuality, the appraisal sheet that he was referring to, the building is appraised at $133,000 with insurance contents of $17,000. And that would be for one that would be built brand new in 2014, not a model that was, had been in use since 2009. So those are the things that I wanted to clarify and make sure that everybody had the exact facts.
Okay, and again, we want to be as transparent as possible, and that's the way we did it, and that's the way we'll continue to do it. And the bottom line on this is, like I said last month, whether it would be $15,000 the sale of the building, or whether it would be $8,500, we don't keep any of it, not one penny of it, not any of it. The thing I like about the way this worked out is that building is put to good use in our community, and our kids in this community are able to use that building and are getting educated in that building. And I just see that as a plus. But anyway, we wanted to answer some of those questions that were brought up. So any questions regarding any of that?
Yeah, I had one. Kevin, how much do we have our building insured for?
It's in there as the appraised value. Our insurance is based on the cost that it would take to rebuild it as of when we insure it. So it would have been insured for the $133,000 plus $17,000 for contents. But that's strictly for insurance purposes based on what it would cost to rebuild.
I have a question. I knew when the contents of the elementary school went to auction. Can you hear me now? Okay, I knew when that went up for auction. Now I know when the playground equipment is up for bid, but I knew nothing about the sale of this building and when it was taking place. And further, I don't understand why it was not advertised.
We as a board told them to sell it. Not at that meeting?
I went through every month of minutes and nothing in those minutes talk about the sale of anything. Not anything.
That was discussed at a meeting, and I was given the direction to sell that building.
If you can show me in our minutes the month that was discussed and agreed upon, I went through those minutes 2 weeks ago. Month by month, there is no mention whatsoever of that.
Okay, I mean, I don't doubt they're not in the minutes. If they're not there, they're not there. But the discussion took place.
Discussion took place, and we also said that we would like to open it first. We had a big discussion about it. We first said we wanted to open it.
In closed session, maybe?
No, I don't think so. I actually think it was a summertime meeting. And we said we would first like to open it up to our nonprofits in our area. Let them have a first opportunity. We did that. We even talked about that there wasn't quite that many nonprofits. I feel like I'm loud enough. And, we even talked about that there wasn't that many nonprofits that even tried to bid. And then we said we would like to open it up to the people in our community and let them have the second opportunity to do that. Then we would go out to other people other than our community. We did talk about it. It was a big meeting that we talked about.
I believe that was in closed session that we discussed that. And Ms. Wright, you have something?
Well, I remember that conversation, but it was about all that surplus furniture.
About the surplus
and
furniture.
not about the building itself. It was how we were going to invite the nonprofits to come in and inspect the furniture, the filing cabinets, the kitchen equipment, and so forth. And you told us how many letters were sent out and how many people, which it was not very many, responded. But I don't recall the building being a part of that discussion at all.
I remember, I don't know how much I can say about closed session, stop me if I'm saying too much, but I remember one of the board members asked what is going to happen to the building. And we discussed the building, and I remember saying, the last thing I remember saying, surely that we could find some use for that building, given the fact that it was such an expensive resource that had been provided to us. And why was the building not advertised for sale, like the furniture and supplies down there at the elementary school, and now the playground equipment?
Well, that's a different animal altogether. Kevin contacted all of the ones, contacted Region 7, contacted people that move and purchase those buildings and homes, contacted those people to try to get interest in that. And that's where he got the interest from.
I believe that there were multiple emails by Mr. however you say his name, from Oklahoma, that he was all but begging to buy that building.
But at what price? Let me talk.
Okay.
He sent an email. I get these same requests in my office. I have a copier I want to get rid of. What's the value of a whatever? And I tell him, fair market value price is about this much money. I'm not making an offer to buy. I'm saying if you're going to sell it to an individual and not a dealer, that's what you should ask for. We asked that man, what is the fair market value of this building? He said $4,500 to $9,000. We had an offer for $8,500. We almost maxed out fair market value based on his email.
Okay, let me say something. I'm an old antique trader, and you do not, if you want to buy something, you do not value it highly.
Well, then he got burned. You should have given us a better price.
He never had an opportunity to bid on it. All he had an opportunity to do was state what he thought was fair market value. And if he wanted it, I bet there were other people in this community who would have bid on that building.
If he would have wanted that building for $14,000, why did he not bid on any of the buildings made available through Region 7 at the same
bigger buildings,
square footage or bigger buildings?
I can't speak for him. I can't speak.
But you
for
are.
See, I was never given any number anywhere near $14,000 at all.
Every other example of him purchasing a building is for less than $5,000, even the one that was bigger than the one we sold. No other broker of the two that made offers plus him have ever bought a building for anything more than $5,000.
Now, how did these two brokers find out that they needed to put a bid in?
They were on the list of Region 7 vendors who actually bought and sold portable buildings.
And you reached out to them?
I reached out and contacted 4 of the 4 people, and they were the only 2 of the 4 that even acted interested enough to want to come out and provide a bid or a quote on it.
I still don't understand why it was not advertised. Why was it not advertised?
This was the first time that I had sold a portable building, and I was going by what Region 7 led me to believe as far as what their process would be. I didn't know who might be interested in it, and then once I found out that the federal government was going to get every dime of it, we got the most out of it that we could. And as Mr. Bryce has said, it's ending up going back here in the community for the good use of the community. If Mr. Crier had bought it, it could end up in El Paso for all we know, not doing anybody any good except putting money in his pocket.
So did you just say that because the money was going to the federal government, you were not going to put out any more effort to get any more money because it was going to the federal government rather than stay here?
You're missing the point that we got 85.
We just gave you the prices from Region 7. Gave you all of those prices that buildings have been bought for.
I heard Mr. Yandel say when he found out the money was going to the federal government.
But you missed the
not
part that
state.
said, but we also received 8,500 compared to a fair market value of 4,500 to 9,000. So once we have received an offer for nearly 100% of what was deemed as fair market value, and we get no value whatsoever for wasting any more resources and making any attempt to raise any more than that, we're gonna make an extra 500 by wasting 1,000? We had $8,500 offer on a $9,000 fair market value, and we received not a dime of any of that. How much resources are we supposed to spend trying to sell it for no profit? His time is worth more than that.
I noticed that the buildings that you listed from Region 7, for the most part, they were considerably older than our building. Was that, I'm sure that had to have had an effect on the bids.
It could
Considerably older, like the year 2000, rather than 2009.
those were the only ones that they had recently sold. Ours was just happened to be one that was a newer one because we had no use for it.
I have a question about the correspondence from Corey Green to you. Obviously, he's answering something that you've asked him. Is that correct?
That is correct. After Mr. Cosa's presentation last month, I wanted to gather as much evidence as I could so that I would have something besides my word, which apparently isn't worth much, to provide you with evidence that the federal guidelines, the state guidelines, and our local guidelines said we did exactly what we were required to do, and that we did not miss anything. If I'd have found out that it said in the state guidelines, yes, you need to advertise this, I would have been glad to come to you and say, I messed up, I should have advertised it. But I have not been told that by the gentleman who's in charge of the state grant, of all the state grants. It says in what he corresponded that there are no federal guidelines nor state guidelines that say that we had to advertise the sale of that building. And when talking to Mr. Green, I was not the only one that had contacted him. Mr. Cosa had also contacted their department, and they were already researching the issue anyway. And they went ahead and finished the research, and then I asked him to put it in writing to me so I could then present it to you.
It seems like that the information you're giving to us all occurred after the issue was raised by Mr. Cosa. Was this email that you sent to TEA or Mr. Green, he is with TEA, isn't he? Yes. Was that the first time you had asked about these regulations? In April of 2016?
That was the first time I had called to specifically ask TEA if there were any other federal guidelines other than what the other division of TEA had sent me regarding the steps that we had to go through to get permission to sell the building. Yes, ma'am.
Do you still have your email?
I contacted Mr. Green by telephone.
Okay, so it was telephone. Thank you. I kind of agree with Ms. Pickle. I see an entirely different approach to the sale of this building than from the playground equipment and the surplus furniture, but I've understood your presentation. Mr. Bryce, do you agree with everything Mr. Yandel said?
Yes, I
And how
do.
these events happen?
Yes, I do. And the process was appropriate.
Any
Mr. Yandel, in your memo, it stated that the deal was made. What was the date of that deal that was made with the buyer of the building?
I believe that Mr. Bryce and the buyer came to an agreement in August, and it was not consummated until January this year because the buyer was having trouble finding a piece of property on which to place the building. And since the building where it was standing at the time that we had it was not in the way of anything, there wasn't any real rush for us to force him to get it off of our property. So that's why it wasn't actually consummated until January of this year.
Do we have or is there a copy of the bill of sale or the deposit slip or canceled check?
There's a copy of the deposit slip in which the check was deposited in January, as well as a receipt that I wrote out to the buyer at that time. As a practice, we don't keep copies of all of the checks that we deposit.
I understand. I was just thinking, considering the situation, it might have been in the packet.
Mr. Bryce, you can see this is kind of a contested subject. There's a lot of comments and talks going in around our community about this topic. Normally when I receive like 3 calls about the building, and normally I just refer them to you if they have a concern. But I had an anonymous person call me the other day with just an FYI, and I wanted to, and it was fairly concerning to hear, and basically it had to do with, they said that the state of Texas Attorney General has contacted our school in regards to the open record laws violations and the sale of the portable building. Is this true? And if it's not, just you can clear that up tonight, but if it is true, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
See, our training didn't do much good, but yes. No, the letter from the Attorney General was from a complaint from Mr. Cosa, is what it was. It was not a letter of the sale of the building being done in an appropriate manner. It was from a complaint from Mr. Cosa saying he didn't receive all the information he asked for. That's what that was from. Any other questions? I will say, I did receive, and so did Mr. Cosa, a letter from the Attorney General's office today that said, as far as they are concerned, they will close their file on this matter.
I have one more question. Mr. Bryce.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to tell me why you told the board that the elementary school contents were being auctioned, but you did not tell us about the building.
We just went through that whole process.
Tell me why. You
Because we
didn't tell us.
contacted Region 7 on all of the vendors that purchase buildings.
But you
That's
said
the route we went.
You said nothing to the board about it.
I had direction from the board to sell that building, and that's exactly what I did.
Show me in the minutes where you had those directions.
Are
Show me in
you
the
questioning whether or
minutes.
not we told him to sell the building?
Yes.
She is.
Yes.
Seriously?
It's not in the minutes. I remember the discussion. The discussion was not about the building.
So you remember the conversation of us telling him to sell it, but you don't, because it's not in the minutes, it must have not happened?
It says, I've said enough.
Mr. Bryce.
I want to clarify something. Ms. Pickle, did you say that you recalled us telling him to sell the building?
No, I do not recall us telling him to sell the
Isn't that what
building.
Mr.
I recall the discussion about opening to the nonprofits, the equipment that was down at the elementary school. No mention of the building was made until one of the board members said, oh, by the way, what about the building? And we talked about the building sort of in abstract form, what we might be able to do with the building. As I recall, it was discussed to possibly use that building to make the concession stand when and if we do a softball field, or maybe restrooms, and I distinctly remember saying that's a valuable piece of property. Surely we can find some use for it. And that is all. We did not talk about selling the building.
You don't remember Mr. Kenna on 2 different occasions after that asking, have we sold the portable building yet? Do you not remember that?
I remember Mr. Kenna talking about what was going around the community after the building was sold.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That's not what I'm talking about.
No, I do not.
I do.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Good thing we have video camera now.
I want to remind the audience that your applause is inappropriate, that this is a public meeting and it shouldn't be disruptive. The next item for discussion is possible dates for board workshop for goal setting and mission statement revision.
My thinking on that is, it's totally up to the board, but it would make sense if we combined our budget workshop with goal setting and mission workshop. And we can designate, there's not it doesn't have to be 6:30 start time. We can go earlier than that if people that are working, if their schedule allows. If it doesn't, then that's different. But looking at our budget workshop dates, aside from this coming Monday, we could probably look at combining those if y'all would rather do that than meeting separate times on those issues.
Is there any discussion about that? It sounds like a good plan to me to combine the budget workshops and the goal setting and mission statement work.
Okay, then the only other thing we need to look at, and I know you probably can't answer that right now, but I know Rusty, Tony, and Paul, we need to look at schedules to see if it's possible to meet earlier, because it'd probably be a longer meeting. So we'll get with you on that. We'll plan that.
Okay, the next item is to establish a date for a public meeting on the budget and proposed tax rate.
Okay, Mr. Yandel.
Thank you, Mr. Bryce. One of the meetings we have to have every year related to setting the budget and the proposed tax rate is a public meeting toward the end of June. We just need to get your approval to go ahead and tentatively set that meeting, or go ahead and set that meeting now, because there's some advertising that we have to do between now and the next regularly scheduled meeting in June. Our proposal is to have that meeting with the public hearing on the 2016-17 budget, and it will also include the final amended budget for 15-16 to be on Monday, June the 27th. If that date is not acceptable, an alternate date would be the very next day, June the 28th.
Is June 27th, is that a good date is that a date that is not good for anyone on the 27th? Okay. Then we do need to get that in the books. I make a motion that we approve the June 27th for the public hearing and tax rate setting. Okay, yeah, we will not take action on that since everyone agrees. Okay.
And the next item, Mr. Taylor asked that we discuss the possibility of adding a soccer program at the high school.
basically, I have a friend that's a AD at another school that's been successful, and I just asked him a couple things that he might suggest that we could implement that would improve our program as a whole. I discussed with him some of our demographics, and the first thing that he mentioned was that the very first thing he did upon taking the AD job was that he implemented, or he asked the board that they let him form a soccer club, and basically, of course, I mean, I'm sure it's not directly related, but 2 years later they won a state championship, 2 actually. So knowing that whenever I pulled up, there was about 12 kids on the practice field playing soccer, and knowing that we have quite a few kids in our district that would enjoy that, I think that it's worth discussion, maybe discussing what we could do moving forward on that.
Okay, as far as, and of course, I'm open to everyone else's opinion on the board here. As far as looking at starting a new sport in the athletic program, that's not a problem. What we need to do is kind of like you were talking about. We need to look at districts that have put the program in and kind of look at the cost, look at what personnel it might or might not take, and do all of that research and bring back to the board so y'all can make a good decision on all of
Yeah,
that.
and I expressed to you when we talked that he said that basically, the first year they had a coach, they paid a half a coaching stipend for the club team, and that the club teams will play basically in January. They'll play the preseason schedules, and they don't have any problems getting enough games. So that once you see that you got interested in the club, then maybe you could talk about moving it on towards the UIL, and then using the full coaching stipend and stuff like that.
Right, because when you first implement soccer, it is club like you talked about, and then see what the participation rate is and all that to move into UIL competition. And right now, the UIL competition, I believe, district-wide begins at 4A, and I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, no, he said they're mixed. I mean, you got, he said Kilgore and Henderson, of course, are the big dogs, but then you got Wascom, Spring Hill, a couple other guys,
Taylor. Yeah, and that's just kind of the way it is right now. A school our size, to get into the UIL competition, we would have to compete up with the larger schools, but that's okay.
That's right.
So I want to ask, I can address Coach Comfort, employee of the school. So can I ask Coach Comfort a question? Coach Comfort, have you ever been part of a program that implemented the soccer program?
Yes, sir, I am.
Where at?
Spring Hill.
Okay. You were there when they started theirs? Do we have any coaches on staff that have coached soccer?
Staff?
Currently on staff who have coached soccer?
Coaching staff?
Yes, sir. Not at the top of your head? Okay, just curious. But you were at Spring Hill when they started their program, so you're somewhat familiar with what they did to get it started? Okay, thank you.
The first year that Kilgore implemented their soccer program, Jody Sanders was the coach, and he hadn't had any prior experience coaching soccer.
Okay, then if there's no further discussion, I mean, I'm kind of gun shy now on assuming what is wanted, but I'm saying what I'm thinking y'all want me to do is go out and research it and bring information back to you so that everybody has all the information and
No,
make a good
absolutely.
decision.
I mean, speak with Coach Comfort and the coaches, and let's get a feeling for what type of following we would actually get.
Well, that's the thing. We need, obviously, interest. Who could we play? Are there other 3A schools that have clubs? How much is it going to cost us? Obviously, I mean, t-shirts, shorts, and shin guards are not that expensive compared to football hats.
Well, yeah, you figure in the travel, you figure in the
Well, I know, there's
uniforms,
obviously some additional expense.
and all that.
But just find out what it would take to get us going and get us moving, even if it's only as like we do 7-on-7. I mean, if it's that kind of league or whatever. But I'm curious. I mean, this is something we've talked about for
Well,
10 years.
And one thing that needs to be done that would help all of us out tremendously is doing a survey with the kids, see how many kids are interested, and I think we'll probably find that a bunch of them are, so.
Well, we have a huge soccer program. I mean, half the Kilgore Soccer Association is run by Sabine people.
That's right.
Everybody in my family has been on that board,
Has been.
coached and refereed and everything else. I mean, it's a huge program. We've got Sabine kids doing it, and they get to UIL level athletics, and all of a sudden, they can't play soccer anymore because we don't have it. So I just feel like if we could do it and make it successful, we ought to make the attempt.
Okay, and by no means am I trying to be sarcastic, don't take it this way, but please get that in the minutes that the board is giving me direction on getting information for a soccer program.
The last item in the discussion section is one that Ms. Pickle asked to place on the agenda, and it's related to the location of board meetings.
Okay. I truly believe that the seats in this room are brutal. They are designed for middle school students to eat lunch and spend about 30 minutes there. I believe that we owe it to our constituents and the people who come, who are interested in the board meeting, to find a better solution. What is keeping us from using the auditorium?
Nothing, we can use any area that's large enough to hold the people. There's nothing magical about this or the auditorium or the elementary
The
cafeteria.
auditorium would be so much more comfortable for everybody concerned, I feel. Another alternative would be to bring more comfortable chairs in here, which would cause somebody to, have to go to the work to do that. But
We can just move down there on the floor and use the bleachers.
those aren't very much more comfortable, if at all, than these seats. Because, people sit in these seats sometimes for hours.
Sitting in bleachers for hours.
Mr. Bryce, I don't really have a concern as far as that's concerned, but we know we're spending about like $500 extra a month to have it in here, or maybe more.
And we would, if it's in the auditorium, we'll have to do the same thing. And in our budget, you'll see budgeted for next year where we will purchase equipment instead of having to rent it each time. No, that's a good
What
point.
do you think?
Good
What do you
point.
think about moving it to the auditorium? Mr. Price?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. I want to hear from other board members. It really is not an issue with me as long as we accommodate the people in the community that want to attend a board meeting.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. I guess nobody else feels strongly about it.
I just feel strongly that we shouldn't be spending $600 extra a month on board meetings.
Any other comment? We're moving to the action items, and the first one is an engagement letter for the 2015-2016 audit.
Okay, I know that y'all have seen the letters previously, and I will let Kevin talk about this. This is an engagement letter from Ms. Jacks on doing the annual audit that we have. And you have a copy of her engagement letter and the price there. Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the price increase this year is how much?
$1,550.
Okay, and I think they had stayed the same over a 4-year period, and this is their first increase, but I know that there was discussion earlier in the year about looking at going out, and then it was decided to stay with Karen Jack's company, and so here's their engagement letter, and I will turn it over to Kevin if there's anything you need to add to it.
Thank you, Mr. Bryce. I would like to add, one of the reasons that they are requesting an increase in their fee is because of the additional work that they're having to do required by the state and by the federal government because of all the additional information that's been added to governmental financial statements over the last 2 to 3 years. My wife is also a CPA in public practice, audit school districts, cities, and the like, and they are having to put in a lot more hours, come up with a lot more numbers to put into the reports than they did 4 to 5 years ago, and that's part of the reason that Ms. Jackson, her firm, are requesting an increase is because of work they're being required to do, not just because they're wanting to, but because it's mandated that they do.
Okay, if there's no discussion, then it would be my recommendation to approve the engagement letter by Karen Jacks for the audit.
Is there a motion to that effect?
Motion.
Is there a second? Is there a second to this motion? And all in favor of this engagement letter, please raise your hand. It was unanimous. And the next one is approve a vendor for the design build contract.
Okay, this has been a process to go through. As you recall, when we started on this a few months ago, looking at the SECO loan and the very inexpensive money that was available to certain school districts if they applied and were selected. And as you recall, we did make the cut. We were one of the districts. We were awarded the grant, so to speak, and the interest rate on that money is 0.25 of 1%. So, and as you know, we put out RFQs for this work, and you have the matrix there in your packet and all, but Kevin did a lot of work on this, and I'll turn it over to him to discuss that.
Thank you, Mr. Bryce. We sent out requests for proposals. We advertised as we're required to do. We had 3 companies that inquired initially, but only 2 companies, the TASB and E3 combination, and then Schneider Electric were the only 2 that actually turned in proposals. In our RFQ that we sent out, there's an evaluation matrix, evaluation criteria that they had to, that we had to use based on the directions that we gave them in putting the proposals that they presented to us together. As you can see on the evaluation matrix, there were 5 different sections in which they had to be evaluated, and the different percentages as far as the total evaluation. We had 4 different individuals that independently reviewed the proposals based on the criterion in the RFQ, and the average of the 4 evaluations was that the TASB E3 group had a rating of 91, and Schneider Electric had a rating of 78. Both of these companies, from the list of references that they had, came highly qualified. In the list among them are some of our neighboring schools. So it was not a choice of a good company and a bad company. It was a choice of between 2 good companies and how they replied to the request for proposals, how they indicated within their proposal that they would be able to take care of the needs that we had expressed in the RFQ that we had. And so it's the administration's recommendation that the board approves awarding the contract to TASB E3 and then allows the superintendent to begin negotiations with them regarding the terms of the contract for the administration of the design-build project to replace HVAC units at the high school.
Do we have a motion to that effect?
Got a question. How long is the term on the loan,
I believe it's 8 years.
and what's the premium?
There's no,
Payment.
the interest rate is 0.25, there's not any premium
How much
with
would the
it.
payments be?
It'd be approximately $42,000 to $43,000 a year. I mean, it's $321,000 over 8 years. That would also include the interest in it.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion. I'll second.
Okay. And all in favor? It was unanimous. And the next item, we have the pleasure of hearing from a dear friend. Ms. Dickerson is here to talk about a choir trip.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to personally thank this school board for allowing me to address you this evening. I would also like to thank the superintendent, Mr. Bryce, and the principals on the 2 campuses that I serve, Mr. Middendorf and Mr. Shawn, for their support that they've given the choral department here at Sabine ISD. Your cooperation and support have allowed me the flexibility to teach on 2 campuses and help these students be able to seamlessly transcend from middle school to high school, and then go on to colleges and universities, and then be fully equipped to use their gifts of music and voice on into adulthood. I'm going to complete my 25th year here of teaching at Sabine, and this school district in the past years has allowed me to be able to travel abroad with my choir students. And we have also served as your musical ambassadors. So I'm here once again, hoping to obtain permission to carry on this tradition and carry one more group of students to New York City, where they will give 2 performances, as well as experience the culture and the lifestyle of the Big Apple. I have a very strong group of young students coming up from the middle school into the high school, and they will join those students, and all these students have big dreams, and I would like to help them by being a catalyst to help them experience the life and cultures outside of Liberty City. You have a working proposal there and a copy of some of the activities that Mr. Tim Branson from Academic Travel has drawn up for us with projected prices. And as you can see, the schedule is packed with activities, and we hope to do those things while there, and I truly hope that you will give us permission to take next year's high school choir on this trip of a lifetime. At this time, I have 30 students who have expressed interest and 8 adults who said that they would serve as chaperones. Each person will pay their own way, and there will be no expense incurred upon this district. And if any of you would like to join us as chaperones, please feel free to do so. So I thank you very much for giving me this time, and I hope you will approve our proposal.
I may be interested in chaperoning. I see you're going to a Yankee game.
Miss Dickerson looked right at me when she said she invited anybody to go on this trip as a chaperone. She knows I would love to do it.
Please come and join us. You would enjoy it.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, you.
I was just going to make a recommendation to approve the choir trip for next year to New York.
And I move that we approve this.
Ms. Pickle has moved that we approve the trip. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Raymond. And all in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
The last item on the action agenda is the risk assessment audit, and Ms. Pickle asked to have this placed on the agenda.
Okay, I move that we use the $10,000 set aside for a risk assessment to hire Mr. Don Sutherland to do a forensic audit as soon as he and associates are available.
Don't we, we've already hired somebody to do it. We've already approved it, put the money in the budget for it.
We do not have a contract.
It's not relevant. We've made a motion, it was seconded, we voted on it, it was approved. Unless you're gonna undo that motion, we've already hired somebody.
Well, do I need to undo it?
Can't hire another one, we don't have $20,000, and he hasn't given us a proposal for us to approve. We don't have anything in writing, we don't have any pricing, we don't have a RFP, an RFQ, we don't even have anything that says how much it'll cost him to come here. All we had was a presentation. If we're not gonna get anything in writing, I would suggest that we at least put something out there to say, hey, can you give us a bid? Because I know when I do business with school districts, it's really, really cool when the district or the board approves it before I even write a proposal. It makes my life real easy. I would think we need something in writing before we hire him. And we still have already hired somebody else.
I don't believe that we hired Mr. Gibson. We do
You
not
forgot
have
that
a
too?
contract.
We hired him, you voted on it.
And we changed the.
And then we put money in the budget to pay for it.
We do not have a contract with him.
That's not relevant. We had a vote where we chose to hire him. And then he moved money into the budget and we approved that to pay him.
Well, I move.
If he shows up tomorrow with a contract and decides to start to work, our people are obligated to work with him.
I move that we rescind that hiring of Mr. Gibson.
I'll second that.
Let's consider one thing at a time. Mr. Raymond, you were the one that passed out an email saying that Mr. Gibson didn't have any relationship with this school.
He didn't. He doesn't have a contract, but we chose to hire him. There was a motion, there was a second, there was a vote. We voted to hire him. Until you remove that action, he's still on the, if he showed up tomorrow, they're obligated to work with him. Yes or no?
I don't believe they are, but that's
Well,
your
he does.
opinion.
We're obligated to go into contract talks with him, yes. He is hired because the board took action on it.
Have you discussed this with Mr. Hardy?
Discussed what part?
Our obligation.
We have an obligation, unless the board changes it, to discuss contract talks with him. If you remember, that was his last words when he walked out of that board meeting.
And that was in December.
I made
We
a
could put
motion.
an expiration date on it, it'd be different. We didn't say as long as you get here in the next 90 days.
It's a shame Mr. Hardy's not in the audience.
It's not that hard to rescind the offer.
I understand how you rescind something.
I made the motion to rescind it.
I second
Before
that.
we go there, if we are gonna rescind it, then we have to have then Mr. Sutherland come back and make a presentation to us on an exact price. He never really gave us a price. And I guess my little concern here now is, Mr. Gibson was hired to do a risk assessment. Mr. Sutherland sat right there at that podium, told us he does not do risk assessments.
Yes.
He only comes in when a school is suspecting that some kind of fraud is taking place.
Yes,
So is that what we're moving to now, that we believe our school has fraud?
you can assume that.
I don't assume.
He said he was a forensic accountant. That's what forensics imply, because he's digging to find where somebody
I've
has
said
done
all
something.
I'm going to say about it.
Okay. And you're offering to hire somebody who's not given us a proposal. We have nothing in writing. We have no documentation. We don't even have a price, but you're ready to hire him. That's a heck of a deal. He can make a price whatever he wants. Now the board's already approved it.
I believe she put a monetary limit in that
I
motion she
didn't hear it.
made.
What monetary limit did you, said use the $10,000?
$10,000.
So what if he comes in and he's gonna be 15? Doesn't fit the budget? What if his price was only 6, but we're gonna give him the 10 because we had it available? Because I'm sure tell you, my price would be 10 if I knew the board approved 10.
The motion on the floor is to rescind the risk assessment. That's been made by Ms. Pickle, and it's been seconded by Mr. Raymond. We will vote on that. All in favor of rescinding the risk assessment with Mr. Greg Gibson and Gibson Consulting Company, please raise your hand. 1, 2, is your hand up? 5, and all opposed? You're abstaining. Okay. Ms. Pickle, do you want to change the other motion in any way?
I move that we use the $10,000 that was set aside for the risk assessment to hire Mr. Don Sutherland to do a forensic audit as soon as he and his associates are available.
Will we make a motion to at least get a presentation from him? And get
Or a written
price from
proposal?
him? Yeah, a proposal. I mean, I will tell you, the man to me acted like he was not even sure why he was here, and he didn't act like really he wanted to work with us.
Can we not do an RFP, find out some people out there that do this for a living, let them provide us a proposal with some pricing to it, and make a decision based on the best of what we get, instead of just hiring the guy that came to the presentation last?
Our school attorney has recommended both Mr. Gibson as being a very competent person in his field, and Mr. Sutherland as being likewise.
Well, of course he does, he has to work with them. Didn't say they were incompetent. Nobody said they're incompetent, either one of them. Doesn't necessarily mean that we need either one of them, nor is there not other people out there more competent that can do the same job. So we're not even gonna take that avenue to actually do an RFP?
Is there a second to Ms. Pickle's motion?
I'll second it. My concern is that this process started way back, early this year, and it's went on without any kind of resolution. Everybody can feel the obvious tension, and we need to move forward, with whatever we do.
But why is moving forward not getting an RFP out so that we can get some quotes or some proposals from other vendors? That's moving forward without hiring a guy who's only done a presentation with nothing in writing.
Also, we didn't move forward because Mr. Gibson didn't move forward. He made a recommendation that we have team training before we do anything.
Have we heard from Mr. Gibson since we've got our team training?
Has anybody notified him?
No, I haven't. I don't know if Ms. Wright has or not.
So, why wasn't it done?
I didn't know that that was my responsibility if it was.
Yeah, I remember him saying that he was supposed to contact Stacy when he walked out of that room. Or Stacy would contact him, one of the two, but.
Yeah, he said he would be in touch with me. And then the last I heard was they put the brakes on because of the issues that were going on with the board at the time, and said needed some training, and that's the last I've heard.
Any other discussion? So a motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of that motion, please raise your hand. And all opposed? The board will now recess this open meeting at 8:03 and convene in a closed meeting to discuss the following items listed on our agenda this evening as allowed by the Texas Government Code. Personnel as permitted by 551.074. The board is reconvening in open session at 9:13 p.m.
Make a recommendation to hire Jennifer Franklin as a classroom teacher at the elementary campus for next school year.
Is there a motion? Mr. Kenna? And Ms. Pickle has made a second. All in favor? It was unanimous. We've covered everything on our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
And a second? Okay. And all in favor? Our meeting is adjourned at 9:13.